Greetings, everyone. This is my second attempt at filming this video. I filmed what I thought was a complete one yesterday, and I watched some of it back to see if it filmed okay, and all that fun stuff, if the audio was okay, and to edit it down and blah blah blah. And I have to preface this by saying I've had the absolute worst sinus infection for months and months, and it gets better and then it comes back, and I've been given all kinds of medicine. I've seen all kinds of people about it. Point being is that when I watched the video back, I was awfully sniffly, which can be very annoying. It annoyed the hell out of me. So I scrapped that video, and we're doing this again. So this is take 2 of my latest vinyl finds, and also, as the title may say, vinyl finds, and also why I've stopped buying new vinyl records, which I will talk about, and we'll get to that. I'm not that I'm holding you to the end, because you can certainly skip by all this and get to it, but it'll be a rant, and it'll be just some truth, my truth about why I'm not buying any more vinyl or new vinyl records. So we'll get to that. Apart from that, like I said, this is probably it's been 12 weeks or so since I've done a video. It doesn't. I would love to do more videos. I really would love to, and I wish I had the wherewithal within me to do it. Back in the day of the dinosaur days of YouTube, when I was first started doing YouTube videos, when you're first doing videos, it's really exciting, and you really, I was making like a video a week almost, and cause you get that new affirmation from people who seem to like what you do and what you find and what you're showing and all that fun stuff. And that excitement kind of dissipates over time, and it's because you don't really have that need to keep up with other people who are posting videos, and you feel like you need to post a video and all that stuff that everyone kind of goes through when they kind of first start doing vinyl videos for the first few years. But I think I'm gonna have to accept that this is kind of the rate I'll probably be doing vinyl videos, because things have changed a lot in YouTube, and not a lot of people seem to be able to find videos like this on YouTube. They're recommended the same shit they've been watching time and time again, and God forbid that video sponsored now, because you'll sit through 15 commercial breaks in a 20-minute video, and YouTube's really annoying right now. So I hope you were able to find this video. I guess you did, because you're watching it right now. But at least you hope you find this interesting anyways. So, what is it? 4 minutes? That's not bad. That's 4 minutes is not bad for a recap after 12 weeks. So, that aside, and we'll push the sniffles aside of my horrible sinus infection, I'm going to show you some thrift store vinyl. Right. Usually I do new vinyl first that I've bought since I've seen you last, since I've kind of stopped buying stuff I've accumulated. But I think I'm going to reverse that, and I'm just going to show you some thrift store vinyl, some stuff from a sale that a friend of mine was having, garage sale stuff, just some really good used vinyl records I got, like always, on the cheap. And then we'll get to some of the new records I bought, and then we'll get to my little rant at the end here. So, it feels awkward. It's been a while since I've done this. It doesn't feel as natural as it once did. This was at a local Goodwill, and it's a first pressing UK Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, and it's on that WMA label. Hope you can see that all, but the matrix numbers and all that fun stuff works out. And this was at a thrift store, and the vinyl is like pristine. How's that? So that was one of my more exciting finds over the past whatever time since I've seen you last. Got some really good upgrades. Let's call them upgrades. Because to me, they might seem like pretty standard vinyl, but to me, they're some really nice upgrades. And I'll never need probably better copies than stuff I've been finding at thrift stores lately. But AC/DC Back in Black, beautiful upgrade. It's the first copy I've seen of this in the wild, where it looks like all the copies do in the wild. You know, not used record stores, but in thrift stores and whatnot, where there's not like the record's trashed and people use the cover to roll joints and there's hot knife burns. Like my original Metallica and Justice for All, one of my friends got this dates me, hot knives. Who remembers that? But, you know, no burns. So that's nice. Nice copy of ACC Back in Black. And I got some really beautiful upgrades. This was all in one haul, if I remember right. But I got all these beautiful Blue Oyster Cult upgrades. Ages of Fortune. Some Enchanted Evening. Cultosaurus Erectus. The Spectres. Mirrors. And I think that was all for Blue Oyster Cult. So, and then this was part of it. A really nice bronze label, Uriah Heep Demons and Wizards. I have the new reissue that I bought off AGK Music Life during one of our auctions. But a beautiful original. Sounds beautiful. Much like the Back in Black, I've never seen this in the wild until now, where this copy is pristine. And I've probably found a dozen copies of this album in the wild over the years, and they're always just trashed. And I don't know why, but it's Joe Cocker, Mad Dogs and Englishmen. Beautiful double vinyl. Original pressing. Original US pressing. No, you know what? This is funny. Sorry, it's not US. It's Australian. I found some Australian... the Uriah Heep. Sorry, that's Australian as well. That's right. This is all coming back to me. It's been a while. This was together in a haul. This is Australian. Blue Oyster Cult's Canadian. What else did I find here I want to show everyone? I have really, what I'm showing you today is a really kind of, not curated, but just grab bits and bobs, because right now I have no record sleeves on hand. And how I tell how many records I've bought in the last little while is how many record sleeves I've ordered. And I looked back, and since I've done my last video, I have ordered 300 vinyl sleeves for records off Amazon. So I have at least bought 300 records. So I'm not going to show you all that nonsense. That would be a long ass video, and already I'm tired. I'm getting old, man. Come on. Yeah, that's a lot of vinyl. So I have piles of it everywhere I have to file. And I've got more shelf space finally, so. Nice upgrade of Paul Simon's Graceland. Something everyone should have. You know, I've been gifting. I typically have not been buying used records unless it's an upgrade. Because then I end up with like 3 copies of this and 4 copies of that. But I was able to gift someone at my work. Their son was getting into vinyl, and he ended up buying them a bunch of Steely Dan records. His kid. I don't know why. He wanted to introduce him to Steely Dan, but he didn't buy him a copy of Asia. And I had an extra copy which I gifted. So a lot of these things now that I'm going to buy, that I do buy doubles of, that I don't need, I'm buying them because I'm finding people to gift them to. So it costs me a few bucks. You know, I'd rather gift someone a copy of Graceland, which I already have, which I think everyone should have. Boy in the Bubble, the first track is one of my favorite songs of all time. So it's in my box of favorite songs of all time singles. That's a long story, isn't it? But that's kind of why I've been buying some doubles of things I don't need, because I've gotten a lot of joy gifting to young folks. And why not? You got to pass this hobby down. You want this hobby to go on a couple more generations, don't you? Like the Cult Electric. This is the second copy of this I've found in the last few months. This one's in the shrink. I think the last one I found was as well, but the Cult Electric. I found, like I said, do I need this? Do I need a copy of Yellow Submarine or Abbey Road? No, but these are, to find really nice copies in the wild, I know someone's going to want these, so pick those up because I'm a giver. Family Style by Stevie Ray Vaughan and Jimmy Vaughan. And then that was all the Beatles, the Stevie Ray, the Cult, and Paul Simon, and this was all part of one haul. They were just putting these out, and I happened to walk in as it happens. I must have a horseshoe at my ass because it does happen every now and again. But the Doors, like sweet original pressing, 13, which is like a collection, you probably all know, and Strange Days, really nice original copy of that. All together, this was all that one haul. I got a really nice upgrade. Those are forever. I don't know who's going to have those ones. I'll gift those ones, but because I don't sell records anymore. I might put an ad in our local Facebook marketplace once a year, and I'll sell a bunch of stuff off in my collection that I no longer listen to. But I don't sell at record fairs anymore. So I'm gifting. This is mine, though. This is a nice upgrade of Queen, Night at the Opera. I can't believe I finally found an original Elektra Records pressing in the wild that wasn't all chewed up. Plays Beautiful, one of my favorite records. Woo! What else? Oh yeah, I got a Verve Records pressing of Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. Ella and Louis. Another album that I think everyone should probably have if so inclined. A few months back, I found a different pressing of this with same cover, but some printing over top of that, and it was an okay pressing. This one is much better. So this one really does kind of tickle my fancy when I'm in the mood. It's a very uplifting album. Ella is amazing. Can't We Be Friends? The first track is just puts you in a mood. You can't be mad when you're listening to this record, so it's nice to put that on. Oh, what else? I'm going to skip that. Let's grab a handful. George Harrison, Cloud 9. That's a nice upgrade I found. Does anybody remember the band It's a Beautiful Day? Very awesome band that I find in the wild quite often, but I haven't found this one before. I haven't had this on vinyl before, but Marrying Maiden. I think it's their third album by It's a Beautiful Day. Please, if you haven't heard them, listen to one of their 3 first albums. Such a great band and underrated. Blood Rock 2, that's a nice upgrade for me. What is that? On the green Capitol Records label, if you're keeping score at home. I'm not really a fan of this band. Not that I'm not a fan. I've just never devoted the time. You can't listen to all the bands. It's impossible. So I found this at a thrift store, and my friend, a friend of mine, is really a big fan of this band. So I picked it up because why not? Deer Tick. Does anybody like Deer Tick out there? Negativity, double vinyl. I chalked these up to some when I've talked about this when I find these before in the wild thrift stores. It's those people who still they were getting into vinyl when the resurgence happened, and now they're donating their Crosley suitcase record player and the 5 records they found or they bought when they had the player. So because I see so many of those Crosley suitcase ones in the wild. I'm not knocking them at all, but that seems to be the gateway turntable that a lot of kids bought. And some stuck with the vinyl and some didn't. So I'm guessing, because who else would donate that? I might give that one to a friend of mine. But I haven't listened to it, so I can't judge it. I found a really nice upgrade copy of Black Moses by Isaac Hayes. This is a newer pressing. It has the barcode in the back. You can tell it's a newer pressing. Sounds great. Sounds way better than my original pressing. So that was a nice find. The Colors soundtrack, which I thought I had on vinyl, but I have on cassette. Great soundtrack. It's not just Ice-T's Colors, but there's so many good. I forgot how good this. Well, that sounds corny to say. I forgot how good this album was, because I knew it was good, but I hadn't heard it in years. But there's Big Daddy Kane and Eric B. and Rakim, and like I said, Ice-T and MC Shan and Cool G Rap. It's a great album. Great time capsule of rap or hip hop in that time. Was it 1987, 88 around then? Highly recommended. My friend oh no, I'll get to that secondly here. Hang on. This is the last of the thrift store vinyl I'm going to show you. I'll save some for next video. But this was last week. I found a copy of Another Green World by Brian Eno. I've never had this on vinyl. Original pressing, Canadian pressing. And then I found a whole whack of magazine albums. These are all nice upgrades to the ones I've found. I've kind of collected magazine albums over the past 10, 15 years from, thrift stores and et cetera, et cetera. But these are all really nice upgrades. There's Magic, Murder, and the Weather. Play, which is kind of like one of their better known albums. Secondhand Daylight, which is probably my favorite. And an alternative use of soap. So if you're into magazine, a lot of these were mixed by Martin Hannett, who did all the Joy Division and early New Order stuff. But I was happy to find that. Okay, am I going to get to, you know what? Oh yeah, my friend, I didn't grab all of them because I filed some of them, but my friend Shal is selling off his vinyl for various reasons. But I've been over to his house a few times, and I've bought some really great vinyl off of him. Spent a lot of money, but like stuff like a lot of metal stuff, but also a lot of goth stuff like the Southern Death Cult, which morphed into the Cult, and the Death Cult, same thing. Never had those on vinyl. Got a really nice upgrade of Queensryche's first EP from him. And I wish I had all of it, because some of it's just amazing stuff. Some original Destruction vinyl. But Raging Slab. So anybody remember Raging Slab from the late 80s? A lot of people might know their first major label record on RCA. It had Don't Dog Me. And it's really, it sounds, once again, it sounds corny to say, but it sounds like Skynyrd meets metal. And it's fantastic, and I'm a massive fan of that first major label record they did. And I think this was the album before this. I've never seen another Raging Slab vinyl in my life besides that one self-titled major label debut they'd had. Then they went on to sign to Rick Rubin's Deaf American label and got kind of fucked over there by him. But this is Ass Master. And what's really rare about this one, it has, if you're familiar with this, it has the original comic book inside, which I should have pulled out, but I'm not going to do it now. But that was a beautiful find that I got off him. I got some Celtic Frost original stuff, all kinds of really, LA Guns, some other, like from glam to like Celtic Frost or Celtic Frost vinyl I got off him. So, some really great stuff. But is that all I want to show you for used vinyl? I think it is. There's some stuff I bought off Marketplace, but as far as new stuff goes, I got, speaking of Isaac Hayes, this came out for Record Store Day, and it sold out right away, and I don't even know if it made it up to Canada, but it's been since reissued on black vinyl. I think for Record Store Day it came out on blue vinyl or something, but it's the South Park 25th anniversary concert triple vinyl, and Towley's my favorite, so I had to get that one. For the longest time, I had a talking Towley figure that would say all his phrases from South Park, and then my son, who fell in love with Towley, I gave it to him. Pass along the laughs, I say. Triple vinyl. This has Primus. It's got Ween. Primarily, those are the two bands on there. Then it's got Matt Stone and Trey Parker doing songs from South Park. And then it's got an appearance by Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson Rush. So the South Park 25th anniversary triple album. And then I went down a really big rabbit hole for a band that you're probably going to say, what? But I went down a really big rabbit hole for a band called Bow Wow Wow. And they are a lot more than what you might read about them on the internet, because on the internet you get kind of like a condensed, bullshit version of what that band was. They were a Malcolm McLaren band. Malcolm McLaren, from the manager of the Sex Pistols. He formed the band, and it was ex-members of the original Adam and the Ants, and basically they were just a puppet band for Malcolm McLaren, who was their manager for their first record. And that's a really horrible condensed version of what they were. They were a really great band who wrote their own music. They weren't some puppet band, and it was just such an original, great sound. And I went down a bad rabbit hole that, and I might have shown this last video, but I'm going to show it again because I've still been listening to them a lot lately. Yeah, a music on vinyl, green vinyl version of I think this was their, I should know this by now, shouldn't I? First record? See Jungle, go join your gang. Yeah, City All Over, go crazy. I think I did show this last video, but you know what? I'm going to show it again because someone's gotta take my advice one day and listen to them. What else did I get on? Same thing. I saw, same thing as Bow Wow Wow, but I seen a documentary about, on HR, the lead singer from Bad Brains. And I went down a big rabbit hole with Bad Brains, which I already have their stuff, except for this one I'm going to show you. If you see the documentary, it's on Netflix or it's on Amazon Prime. It's on one of them streaming services. Watch it, because it's about HR, the singer, but it's also about the band itself. And HR is equal parts a genius and a complete fucking nut bar. But that genius part of him is just, it's anyways. Watch the documentary. It's so interesting, and you can see what a genius this guy is. But I thought I had this on vinyl, and I didn't, and it just got reissued on audiophile vinyl, which is kind of odd for a punk band. But Eye Against Eye, I had it on CD, but I didn't have it on vinyl. So Bow Wow Wow and Bad Brains have gone down some deep rabbit holes of late. And then I got some other various stuff, like the new Styx album. This is their third album they've done since they've kind of they've restarted doing new releases. I gotta slow down talking. I promised myself I'd slow down. 2 albums before this, they've just suddenly started making new records again after a long gap between, I'm talking decades of not doing a full new album. And Tommy Shaw started making new music under the Styx name. And they've all been great. There's no way these records should be as good as they are. But this one just came out not that long ago, and it's called Circling from Above. I feel my sinuses closing, so I'm going to try not to sniffle. Fuck, that drives me crazy. Anyways, their latest release, and it's another damn good album. What else? Oh yeah, Slaughter, Revolution. Of all the weird reissues to come out, this album, I've never seen. I don't think it's ever been on vinyl before. This is like a later Slaughter album that came out after they got booted from their record label. But I had to get it because it's such a weird reissue to have. Like, why not? Oh yeah, Information Society. I gotta talk about them quickly because they are one of my favorite bands. This is their brand new 40th anniversary reissue of their first single called Running. And Tommy Boy is finally giving these guys some love. Their first 3 albums were on Tommy Boy Records via Warner Music at the time. And since Tommy Boy has kind of started up again, reissuing, because they were 99% rap label, hip-hop label. But they had a couple non-rap bands like Information Society. I love these guys. I was so happy to see a reissue of this single. I don't need it. You know, I have an original, but I gotta support it in the hopes that the label will... I have all their vinyl, but 2 of their records have been reissued. But for some reason, their best album, Hack, has not been reissued on vinyl. Tommy Boy Records, I know you're watching. Get off your ass and reissue Hack already, for God's sakes. That's the album after this one. All right. I'm gonna talk about new vinyl records now. And I'm gonna try not to cry. I'm kidding, but I do mean what I'm gonna talk to you about right now, I do mean in all seriousness. And it just breaks my heart that I started buying vinyl in 1982. And I've never stopped buying new vinyl records. Even when vinyl wasn't popular and you know, everyone was selling off their collections, I was working in music retail, so I still had access to imports. I still had access to the, you know, the odd special edition that would come out on vinyl here when it was, you know, when it was odd seeing a new vinyl release come out. And then everyone was selling off their collections, and you know, I bought a lot of collections back then. People who were practically giving them away when everyone was replacing their collections with CDs. And I bought a lot of collections because, like I said, I've never stopped buying vinyl records. That's how you end up with the amount I have. And probably I've had this many more that I've sold off. So it's a lot of records I've had in my life. But for the first time in my life, I can say that unless it's one of my hardcore favorite bands, which isn't very many, relatively speaking, I'll always buy their records because they're my favorite, you know, a handful of favorite bands of mine. But, you know, I'm stopping buying. I'm not going to buy vinyl records anymore, new vinyl records. Because for the first time I can say that the record labels have priced me out of being able to just... It's not really afford, but it's justifying paying that much money for vinyl records. And I know when I was in Los Angeles, was it a year and a half ago, the prices there don't seem to be... if you're in the States, maybe you don't feel the heat that we are up here in Canada for new vinyl record prices. But if I find a new vinyl record under, like, you know, in the from $30 to $39, that's almost a bargain. And to find one under $30, it does happen, but not very often, because new vinyl records now, you know, they're 40, 50, 60 bucks. In fact, I can't remember which one it was. I thought, oh, I'm going to pre-order that. And I looked and it was like $72 for a single vinyl record. And I can't justify paying that much money anymore. You know, I'm in a lucky situation where, you know, like, kids are growing up and they've moved out and it's just me and my wife. And I could afford it. But I have to think about what else could I do with that money. And how can I justify it? How can I justify donating so much of my paycheck to vinyl records? It's to new vinyl records. It's incredible the price that they're asking nowadays. And I have a theory that record labels, they don't want to actually sell you vinyl records. They don't want to sell you CDs. It's I don't know if they're artificially raising the price because they want the vinyl thing to stop, and they want to just be able to release an album on a streaming service, and they make more money that way because the cost of production for vinyl records, etc., it cuts into their margins, and they're greedy fucking bastards, and it costs them nothing. God knows they don't pay artists anymore like they used to. They send a new release out to Spotify, Tidal, whatever the streaming service, whatever it is, Amazon Music. That costs them nothing. God knows they're not paying for bands recording anymore. They don't pay for big budgets in recording studios anymore. So bands are having to make their records probably on their own dime for the most part, at home studios. And record labels just they don't want physical media because it's not profitable for them. If they can get an album from an artist and just fucking email a FLAC or WAV file to these streaming services, cha-ching, it's all profit for them. Whereas vinyl records, there's a margin cut, there's cost cutting into their margin, cost of production, the cost of, shipping all over, whatever, So anyways, that's why I have to stop buying new vinyl records. I can't justify the cost anymore. Plain and simple. And record companies they're fucking everyone over, big time. And they're fucking independent music stores. They're messing with everyone. And if you're not in that situation that I'm in, I'm happy for you. I'm not speaking on behalf of you. This is just my situation. Plain and simple. So, that's kind of the hard decision that I've had to make, and it's heartbreaking. That it's come to this now, that I can't justify paying $50, $60 for a new vinyl record. Then it's deluxe editions come out, and of your favorite bands, and you're buying the same album twice because a deluxe edition comes out, and you guys know what I'm talking about. So this is my rant, and it's a real depressing decision I've had to make, but that's, like I said, that's kind of where I'm at right now, and that's not going to change, So, I figure I might be buying one new vinyl record every 3-4 months of a favorite band of mine. But that's it. That's all. And record companies, congratulations, because you're pricing. It's not just me. I've talked to a lot of people. They're pricing them out of the market. You can't afford to pay the exorbitant food prices these days, the exorbitant rent and mortgage and everything else that costs so much money these days, and be able to justify that kind of spending. And like I said, if you can do it, I'm happy for you. God bless you. But like I said, after I've been buying new vinyl records for so many years that it hurts. It hurts my soul. Not to be too dramatic, but it's a hard go. But I'll tell you what I've been doing in absence of buying new vinyl records is that I in the last year, I have, well, the last 2 years probably, I've built a really nice 5.1 stereo system. Not Dolby Atmos. I haven't gone that far into it, and I won't go into Dolby Atmos. 5.1 for me is that's what all I'll ever need for sound quality. But you know what I've been doing? I've been enjoying things like, because they're half the price, if not much less than half price of vinyl records. But I've been buying a lot of they are Dolby Atmos, but there's also different audio tracks. There's 5.1. Will be a stereo mix. There'll be some visuals sometimes, but I've been buying a lot of 5.1 Dolby Atmos discs. Disregarding the Dolby Atmos, obviously, but this was recently released and it was $20. This was $19. Prince 5.1 Purple Rain. That was the first Fleetwood Mac album with Buckingham Nicks. I paid $22, I think it was, for Prince. Diamonds and Pearls, 5.1. Sounds, and what they're doing these days with 5.1 is just amazing sounding. I get such a kick out of it, and it's something that's new, and probably that's why I'm so excited about it. But it's disc, that might equate, yeah. I've always been buying SACDs for a long time, probably 10 years. But now that I have a system where I can totally enjoy the format, it's really exciting, and I really love what they're doing now with the mixes of some of these great classic albums. I'm not going to go as far as saying it's kind of bullshit to say it's a whole new listening experience. It's like saying you'll hear this album like never before. That's kind of dramatic, but the way they're kind of placing instruments in the front and back and the sides, and some people it sounds gimmicky. I find it endlessly interesting, and I've been getting so much fun out of it, and especially since it's so cost effective. I just bought this one, $20, no jacket required. Steven Wilson remix. And I tell you what, I listened to this yesterday, and it made me appreciate this album, which I kind of always thought was a lesser Phil Collins record. It made me really appreciate this record again. And that's what some of these things are doing. Kraftwerk, Autobahn, that was $19. There's a really good website called Super Deluxe Edition, some of you might know about, but they released their own. They get exclusive rights, and they'll do exclusive runs of things like this. Tears for Fears the Hurting, 5.1, Dolby Atmos. That was exclusive on their website. A bunch of other ones I've been buying from that label. Like I got ABC Lexicon of Love. I got Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells. There's so many in that series that I've been buying. And Bill Evans, that was $16. SACD, mixed in 5.1. Then A Love Supreme sounds absolutely fantastic. And things like Primus. This is the Willy Wonka album they did in 5.1. It's the way they've been doing these things is just amazing. It's way better than what it used to be, let's say 10 years ago. They're really getting inventive with the medium. People like Giles Martin, who did the Beatles stuff, he's really getting really inventive with what they're doing for these spatial audio mixes, and they sound so great. And that's kind of what I'm doing instead of, because it's cost effective. I might buy two a month, $40. I can afford that. And you know what? There's so much to these discs that I'll get repeated plays out of them, and that's kind of what I've been doing to substitute, and I'm happy about it. But in the same token, I'm kind of sad that I'm sniffling again. I'm sorry. I promise you I'm not crying, though. Cheers, everyone. But I'm not sure if you're in the same situation as I am. Let me know. I've talked to some close friends of mine, and they were the ones who initiated this conversation with me about they're priced out. They can't afford it anymore. And I'm like, whew, you feel the same as I do? Oh my God, thank God. Because, yeah, I understand people's struggles, and then to pay these prices, and the record companies they're fucking us big time. And it's pretty sad. Even YouTube's turning into a corporate piece of shit. All they do is, like I said, I might have said this earlier, but all they do is recommend the same shit that you always watch, the same videos. A lot of channels that I like to watch, they don't exist anymore because they don't get recommended. They're not big corporate money making videos. They're just videos like this. And people stopped making videos because nobody watches them anymore, because you just get spoon fed the same shit over and over and over again. So it's just a really bad time right now with record companies doing what they're doing. They're fucking the artist. They're fucking the consumer. Pardon my language. And then you've got people like YouTube even. Just they're screwing the creators. They're not promoting, small channels from existing anymore. I don't monetize my videos. I don't care. I don't want to make a penny off this. And I never have. But if you're going to put the energy into this, it's nice if people watch. Anyways. This is almost the exact same length as my video yesterday, with a lot less sniffles. And I hope they cut my nose open and operate and cut my sinuses out and give me a sinus transplant. Anyways, if you're watching this video, any part of it, God bless you. I always say that, but I'm an atheist, so why do I say that? Thank you so much if you ever watch my videos or even watch any part of my videos, and please feel free to leave a comment and let me know, is the price of vinyl records affecting you? Maybe it's just my country, maybe it's not, maybe it's Australia as well, or some other country, maybe the States have it good, I don't know, but let me know. And let me know if you're enjoying the new medium of Dolby Atmos 5.1 music discs. And if you're thinking about it and you got a 5.1 setup, they're just fantastic. Great bargains for what you get, because you'll get like 5 different audio tracks. You get a Dolby Atmos, you get a 5.1, you'll get a stereo mix, you'll get the new stereo mix, you'll get the original stereo mix, and also Rhino Records is doing a really good line called Quadio, which I've been buying almost all of them. I just got one by the Modern Jazz Quartet, and I got ZZ Top, Tres Hombres. They're taking original quadraphonic mixes. You probably know this, but if not, they're taking original quadraphonic mixes that were done in the 70s for some of these albums. And a lot were done back in the day when quad was kind of a new big thing. They're taking that, they're remastering it, they're kind of putting some fairy dust on these quadio or quadraphonic mixes, and they sound like Sabbath, Alice Cooper in quad. It sounds fantastic, and it's Blu-ray quality sound. And even though it's 4 channels, it's fantastic what they're doing. How they're making it so beautiful, spatial sounding, and all that fun stuff. And God, I need to shut up now. So, anyways, this is it for now. Thank you for watching. Just let me know what's going on in the comments section, and maybe I'll see you again in 12 weeks. Who knows? But take care, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well, in all seriousness. And before I go, I just want, probably no one's made it this far, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say that in the last couple of weeks, my DJ partner of 22 years, I DJ. Not as much as I used to, but I have some really big DJ nights I do every couple of months, and I've had a partner for the last 22 years who passed away a few weeks ago. And maybe that's a part of maybe it is. I'm not sure if that's playing with my head about what I'm doing in life and what I'm spending money on and enjoying life. But he passed away, and he was young. He was my age, and that's been a real huge blow. It's been really messing with my head a lot. I've had a lot of death around me in the last 5 years, and it's not fun. So I hope your families are doing well. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.